Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee. This is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can find me under Slim Dayspring 12 on Twitter and Instagram. And, of course, always jump on the Facebook group. Plenty of stuff posted there. I post stuff daily about all things geeky and comment and talk and discuss that stuff. So you can go on there as well, guys, and follow me and join the discussion. Welcome, one and all, to today's episode. Now, today I'm going to be talking about two subjects, stories, things that just popped up in the last couple of days, things that I'm really excited about, actually, that I was going to talk about one, and then the day got away from me, so then something else popped up. So I'm just going to roll it all into one and just kind of make this a twofer, so to speak. So first, I'm going to talk about the idea that Warner Brothers is looking to do a Game of Thrones prequel movie. And then, of course, I want to talk about the latest Lantern trailer that just dropped by Warner Brothers and DC Studios. Okay, so starting off, like I said, I'm going to be talking some GOT. It was recorded or came out yesterday that Warner Brothers is projected to make a movie coming out based on Aegon Targaryen the First, because there have been several people named Aegon Targaryen in Game of Thrones, and it's set to be not on the small screen, but actually on the big screen. They said they want to make a film that is envisioned as a Mammoth Dune-sized feature film. Now, I did hear also that they were talking about doing conflicting or battling stories. One was going to be a TV series, one was going to be a movie, and they were going to kind of see who writes the better story, and kind of whichever one is the best is the one they're going to put out. This, of course, being more Game of Thrones. We just finished up season 1 of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We got season 3 of what's it called? Not Dance of the Dragons is the book. House of Dragon, that's what it is. House of Dragon is the name of the series with that. So it looks like Game of Thrones really is here to stay. We got the season 3 coming out of House of Dragon. Season 2 of Night of the Kingdoms is on the way. We got an animated movie, I think, too, that they're working on. I forget exactly what that is about, but I know that's going to happen too. But this one just popped up yesterday, and given that I'm still in the middle of my Game of Thrones rewatch, I thought I'd talk about it a little bit because I'm in a Game of Thrones mood. When A Night of the Seven Kingdoms started, I got into the Game of Thrones mood again. I started rewatching the original Game of Thrones series. I just started season 7 in my rewatch, and oh my God, guys, I love this show. I love this show so much. I mean, it's to the point where I have other things on my queues that I want to watch, my Netflix queues, my Disney Plus queues, my HBO Max queues that I want to watch. But I come home and I'm just like, no, I just want to rewatch Game of Thrones again. That's what I want. That makes me happy. After a long day, it makes me happy just to watch this show because it is so damn good. Now, I'm into later seasons, and I haven't gotten to the later seasons in a while, so we'll see how I feel about them rewatching them. I think I've only seen these season 7 and 8 maybe twice, maybe once. I don't know. No, I think I've definitely seen season 7 at least twice. Season 8, I might not have rewatched yet. So we'll see how I feel about that when I get to it. But to the story at hand, they're going to make a Game of Thrones movie. It seems natural. I think what A Night of the Seven Kingdoms kind of showed Warner Brothers is that Game of Thrones is not a dead franchise. It is a franchise that, given the right story, given the right, talent, it's something that you could, that you can just keep tapping into. There's thousands of backstories that you could tell, thousands of stories you could tell in the world of Westeros and Game of Thrones. This is just one of them. Is it be the one that I would choose? No, not really. A lot of people want to go past Game of Thrones, maybe get an Arya movie or a Jon Snow King of the North movie or something like that. I understand that, but I understand, I guess, why they want to try to develop this storyline. So number one, this story I think lends itself to being the most cinematic or one of the most cinematic. You do have a story about a man and his two sister wives and their three dragons and coming over to Westeros to conquer just as their civilization, Valeria, is destroyed. Again, you get big epic battles. You put that on a movie screen, it would look great. I totally understand that. Now, another reason I think they were doing this rather than thinking about moving forward, like past Game of Thrones season 8, is because actors and their money. Basically, I think Warner Brothers knows if they bring the character Arya back or Jon Snow back or Sansa Stark back, you're gonna have to get those actors back who've already established themselves in those roles. And guess what? You're gonna pay that person to come back for that role more money than you get to pay an actor to play Aegon Targaryen for the first time in a movie. At least, unless, I mean, I'm sure you'll get maybe a big name in there, but you don't have to really. I mean, one thing I love about Game of Thrones and this whole franchise is, the casting's great. They always pick people that you may know, but kind of help elevate them, really. And I think, again, it's a matter of, I think maybe the way season 8 ended maybe gives them a little fear of moving on, which I'm going to talk, a little bit more about after a not so good ending. People are a little more hesitant to continue with the character in my next story. But with this, it's not the story I would tell. I'll say that. Me, I'm a Stark guy. I love the Starks. They're the good guys. They're the ones we cheer for in Game of Thrones. And I've recently gone down a rabbit hole of YouTube videos, learning more about Bran the Builder, who helped defeat the White Walkers, build the wall, build up Westeros, and then later you had Theon Stark, who helped unite the North. Brought all the northern tribes together and created really what the North is when we see it in Game of Thrones. And then you have Creighton Stark, is it? Now we've already seen this character in House of Dragon when Rhaenyra's son tries to go to get to rally him to their side. Now I believe, if I remember correctly, he actually ends up pledging himself for Rhaenyra's side of the Targaryens, and he rides to King's Landing to support her. By the time they get there, I guess she's already dead. Whether we'll see that at the end of House of Dragon, I don't know. But I know in the story, too, he goes on to help kind of clean up King's Landing and Westeros, get rid of kind of all the political backstabbing when it comes to all of that. And then he rides back north and just kind of, says, okay, I cleaned up the mess. I'm going back home. So again, for me, I like more of a Stark story. I think that's what I think would really work because, like I said, everyone knows the Starks are the good guys. They're the good guys. They're the ones we want to cheer for. Okay, so if we had a movie with the Starks, you're already prone to cheer for a Stark. Targaryen, maybe not so much. Depends on where you fall on the whole Dany Targaryen. But in any event, I think it would make a better one. This, I'm not saying this isn't a smart idea, but it's more dragons. I mean, we've already had, we had 3 dragons in Game of Thrones. We have dozens of dragons in House of Dragon. We got Michael B. Jordan's Fourth Wing series coming out. I'm going to be a little sick of dragons. I'm not that big on dragons in general, unless it's toothless. I love me some toothless, but dragons in general, I'm not really that big on. So with this, I don't know. I mean, is it a smart idea to make a Game of Thrones movie? Yes, definitely. Would this be the story I would tell? Maybe not. But then again, I'm also fine with them leaving it on HBO. I mean, if you have a constant stream of Game of Thrones type series on HBO or, God forbid, Paramount Plus, if that deal actually happens, then I think you have a constant group of people that are going to keep subscribing and paying for whatever streaming service Game of Thrones series are on. But of course, you can make a lot of money taking a very popular franchise and put it in theaters, and the people will come and watch it. So I get it. I'm not super excited about it based on the storyline, but I totally get where they're coming. I just like that, again, Game of Thrones is kind of having a rejuvenation almost. A lot of people weren't quite sure how it was going to go after season 8 of Game of Thrones. Then House of Dragon season 1 came out. People liked it. People were a little iffy on season 2. Then we have Knights of the Seven Kingdoms. People seem to like. I think it's because it's so different from House of Dragon and Game of Thrones. Nice kind of change of pace with that. And again, gave us a character, Sir Duncan the Tall, to root for. Gave us an everyman to root for, which is I think why that works so well, and why I think again it kind of breathes some new life into the Game of Thrones franchise. But whatever they do, I mean, I want more stories. That's really what it is. I want more stories. As long as they're told in a good way, I'm totally fine with that. But you guys, fire back. Let me know what you think about this Game of Thrones coming to the big screen. It'll be years before it happens, though. I mean, Lord knows what's going to happen to Warner Brothers in this next year or so. It'll be questionable. If they want to do it, I can see it happening. But no matter who owns Warner Brothers, they know how valuable Game of Thrones is and how profitable it can be. So my question on that is going to be quality, but that's another discussion for another day, guys. But fire back, of course, in the comments below, and let me know what you think. Okay, next up, we are looking at the newest trailer for Lanterns, or yes, the first trailer really is what it is. DC Studios' Lanterns came out based on the DC comic book Green Lanterns. This is the same DC universe that we have Creature Commandos, Superman, Supergirl, Peacemaker. It's another continuation. We're still in the same world with all this guys. The showrunners on this are David Lindelof. I believe I said his name right. He did HBO's The Leftovers and Watchmen. And then you also have Tom King, who's a very fabulous comic book writer, also working on this show. So right off the bat, we knew the writing was going to be exceptional. The other thing we heard was that it was going to be kind of like a true detective story, kind of more grounded. Now, I got into Green Lantern with the Jeff Johns run way back when he did, the Sinestro Corps War, Blackest Night, Brightest Day, all that stuff. That's kind of my core Green Lantern. When I think of Green Lantern, that's what I think of. Ever since then, I've kept up with it. I haven't really say I've enjoyed a lot of it. Most recently, I believe it was the most recent run they have. The first couple of stories or so. I think was it Joshua Williams or was it Greg Pak who did it? I forget. But whatever the current run is, the first 6 to 12 issues, I really enjoyed that. And like I said, I keep up with Green Lantern, but again, it's the stories. It just doesn't work for me. Kind of like a lot of characters, really. I mean, I'll always read Superman. Superman's my guy. I like Superman a lot. And then Aquaman, another guy I really like. I'll always read that. Green Lantern, Flash, Batman. I'll skim through their comics and see what's going on. And occasionally they'll pull me in. Sometimes they won't. It all depends. But Green Lantern is one of those characters I know pretty well, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert on Green Lantern. But I do enjoy the character. I think he has a lot of potential when he's written good with a writer like, say, Jeff Johns. And I will say my favorite Green Lantern is Kyle Rayner. I love Kyle Rayner, the Torchbearer, Ion, many names he's gone by, the White Lantern, whatever. Hal Jordan's probably my second favorite. I love him to death. I'll get more into him in shortly there. And then, of course, you have John Stewart, Guy Gardner. And then since Jeff Johns' run, you've got a dozen human lanterns in there, but I don't know some of them very well. Past Jessica Cruz, that's about as far as I go when she was introduced. And then I think then you've got like Kid Lantern and some other lanterns, humans in there, and I don't know them very well. I see them in the comics, but I really don't. I don't know, care to dive into their stories. I'm sure they're good characters. I'm sure they have their fans, but Not for me, but like I said, anyway, Green Lanterns. I'm a fan. I got my Green Lantern ring. I have a Green Lantern poster or art in my bedroom as well too. In brightest day and blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evils might beware my power. Green Lantern's light. I know it. I like it. Right. So when they said they were going to do the show and it was going to be kind of a true detective story, my first thought was, well, they're doing this to keep the budget down because Green Lantern is space cops. I always thought that kind of like X-Men in the Marvel universe, you don't have to cross them over with other Marvel characters. X-Men has so many good stories and so many characters, they can be their own pocket, which is why they did so well in Fox and not have to rely on going over the MCU in the very beginning. There's a lot to dive into just with X-Men. And that's how I feel about Green Lantern in the DC Comics universe. Green Lantern has so many characters, so many storylines you can do. You really don't need to dive in and mix them with the other DC Comics characters because they can kind of be by themselves. It's fun if you mix them. It's totally fun if you mix them with Superman and Wonder Woman and all those characters, but you don't have to. There's enough there. They can play in their own sandbox if you want. Now, like I said, Kyle Rayner is my favorite Green Lantern. Next to him, it's Hal Jordan. When they said Kyle Chandler was being cast as Hal Jordan, my first thought was clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. Love Kyle Chandler. Friday Night Lights was one of my favorite TV series of all time, so he can be in anything, and I would love him. But I didn't like the idea of an older Hal Jordan because to me, you got to start with Hal Jordan. And I know what the issue is. The issue is the Ryan Reynolds movie that was back in 2010, and it didn't perceive very well. So really, Green Lanterns has been put on this back burner for many years because of kind of the stench that movie put on the character. I totally understand it. And I know you want to stay away from Hal Jordan a little bit as well because of that. And, it looks like, in this one, he's going to be training John Stewart, played by Aaron Pierre. And I want to say this is if they kill Hal Jordan or get rid of Hal Jordan by the end of this season or anytime soon, I'm going to be a little upset. I'm going to be a little upset because there are so many good Hal Jordan stories. I mean, again, I'm a fan of the Jeff Johns run of Green Lantern, and it's all centered around Hal Jordan, his return, his redemption, how he came back to be the greatest Green Lantern of all time. And if they kind of skip over that, I'm going to be a little upset. I'm not going to lie. I mean, especially the best thing about Hal Jordan, of course, is his relationship with Sinestro, his nemesis. And I think they cast him. Who did they cast? Gosh, who is it? Who is it? I know they cast him. I'm on IMDb right now, and I'm sure you guys know, and you're going to be like, okay, Ulrich Thompson. Thompson, is that how you say his name? I don't remember. I recognize the face. Sinestro and Hal Jordan have one of the best relationships in comic books. I mean, even better, well, not better than, say, Xavier and Magneto, but just as good. Okay, maybe not as good. Okay, anyway, they have a great relationship. And to kind of, take that away or to not show us that, I'm going to be upset about. Now, if they were to say at this point, Sinestro, left the Green Lantern Corps and then he comes back as a villain, like they haven't had their real falling out yet. Like Sinestro's been gone for like years, and then he comes back and he kind of surprises Jordan as hey, I found a yellow ring and now I'm going to do things my own way, and Jordan and Stewart have to team up to take him down. That would be a nice change of pace. Again, there's so much good with Hal Jordan before we just move on to John Stewart. Early Jordan, where Sinestro he becomes part of the Green Lantern Corps. He learns how to be the greatest Green Lantern. He's taught by Sinestro. He's betrayed by Sinestro. It's such a good story and it's such a good relationship. I don't want them to skip it. And my fear in this series is because we're getting an older Hal Jordan, we're going to skip it. That's my fear. Or possibly even worse, they give that story to Jon Stewart. And I always said with Hal Jordan, I always said that really, if you want to know who Hal Jordan is, he's Maverick from Top Gun. The character of Tom Cruise, Maverick, Top Gun, that is pretty much Hal Jordan. So if you think about that character, that's how he's supposed to be. Kyle Chandler is an older version of that. Yeah, I can see it. In the trailer, he got a couple of quips in there, where he was being a little snarky, and the sheriff John was like, "She hates you," but he's like, "Yeah, but it's the way she hates me." He's got that cockiness to him, even as an old man. He's got some gruff. I mean, I'm sure after being a Green Lantern for years and seeing the things he's seen, he's going to have some gruff. Totally understand that. But again, I can still see it's there, and it's Kyle Chandler, so he can do no wrong, in my opinion. So there's that. The story, like I said, I think they did this to keep the budget down. When they told me they were going to, or when I found out, nobody told me. When I found out that they were going to do a Green Lantern series, my first thought was, oh damn, the budget's going to be cut, because Green Lantern is this big space epic. They're space police. They fight aliens all over the universe, and you're going to keep it as a more grounded story. I don't know. It seems to me like it's not what Green Lantern is. However, if you're trying to reach a more general audience, and if you're trying to get people to forget about that 2010 Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie, what we saw from this trailer is a great way to do it. Keep it grounded at first, right? The only thing we saw him fly, okay? And I'm sure we'll see him, zap a few people maybe in a next trailer or something like that. Keeping this one grounded to draw in your general audience, I think, is a good idea. But I think, again, as the season goes on, as the series goes on, as the DCU goes on, we need to get bigger and bigger and bigger. We know there's some kind of alien threat, or at least believe there's some kind of alien threat in here. That's what the Green Lanterns do. They patrol their sector 2814, and they, keep alien threats and threats out of their sector. This is the first trailer for this series. It doesn't come out till August. I don't need to know the big threat yet. You don't need to show me too much. Just give me a feel for what the series is going to be. And, with these two characters on a road trip, solving a mystery like two detectives. Hal is training John. Their chemistry seems to be working pretty well. It's a confliction for me, because I can see what the Green Lanterns is and what this is, and I see why they're going this route versus what I want to see, and I'm conflicted. I don't hate it. I don't hate this trailer. It's just hard for me to fight that nature of, like, I want the big spectacle Green Lantern, is what I want. And we kind of got that back with the 2010 movie, and they need to put a new face on this brand, and hopefully, again, people will accept this. But if you start off small, go bigger and bigger, I'm not going to fault you for that. I'm totally fine with that. I am very curious, though, in regards to Guy Gardner, Nathan Fillion. Guy Gardner from Superman. He's a Green Lantern. He's going to be in this series. When's he going to pop in? What kind of trouble is he going to cause? And then also, when at the end of the trailer, when they were talking about how Hal said he's the only human Green Lantern, well, there's Guy Gardner, and I'm sure there was just some editing trick, or maybe something happened to Guy. Maybe he doesn't consider him a full-fledged Green Lantern. We don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't think it's a continuity error. I mean, I don't think the people who wrote this show and James Gunn would throw in that bad of a continuity error. It's just something we don't know about yet, in regards to Guy Gardner and what Hal said about him being the only human Green Lantern. I mean, this trailer definitely had a different feel to it. You had Hal giving off a few swear words, kind of again that gritty detective vibe. They're not in. You saw the Green Lantern suit. You saw the lantern even, which was cool, I believe. And but they're going undercover. They're trying not to cause a ruckus. I'm curious what people know as far as Green Lanterns at this point. I mean, you have a world with Superman and the Justice Gang and all these other metahumans going around, and especially since Kyle or Hal Jordan has been Green Lantern for a while. Has he been around saving the Earth? Do people know about him and who Green Lantern is and all that? And that's why he doesn't want to wear a suit. Why he's trying to stay in disguise. Again, it's all just preliminary. This is a first trailer. As a first trailer, I got excited. A little bit of me might be disappointed. We're not going to get a big space epic, but you know what? We'll save that for the movies. You know what? We'll save that for a couple of years when they pop up in a Justice League movie or a Superman movie or whatever. I'm fine with going small for now. Give me a good story, give me good characters, and don't spit on the source material. I guess you want to play with it a little bit, but don't do it wrong, I guess you would say, perhaps. But I don't know, guys. What did you think about the Lanterns trailer? Were you a little disappointed that we didn't get a big space opera? Do you like the more low-key detective story with this trailer? What do you think about Kyle Chandler, Aaron Pierre, their chemistry? Do you think it'll work? Let me know. Fire back, of course, in the comments. Again, guys, find me Slim Dayspring 12 on Twitter and Instagram, because that is going to be it for me today. Let's discuss. Let's talk about the Game of Thrones movie coming out. Let's talk about this Lantern show. I want to hear from you. Let's talk about it, guys. That's what I'm here for. That's what I love. That's why I do this. That's why I'm sitting here. No joke. I'm in my closet right now, on my feet, pacing, recording this. Yes, I know it's sad, but I'm a walk and talker. Like, I feel like whenever I get up and talk on the phone, if I know it's going to be more than like 30 seconds, I like to get up and talk. Maybe it helps me think. I don't know, but and of course, a nice small closet has good acoustics, so there's that too. But that's how much I love this stuff. I love to talk about it. I love to discuss it. I love to get it out, and I love for you guys to fire back and let me know what you think about it. But that's going to be it for me today, guys. Again, Facebook group, Twitter, Instagram. I'm there. Come find me. Let's talk about it. Until next time, may the force be with us all.